My name is Tijani Christian, and as the program says, it's interesting. I find it interesting that I'm at the age where things says former, like former youth. I'm at that age now, and I didn't know I would get to the former stage, but I'm happy that I live to see it. Amen? All right, good. So I'm happy to be here with you, everyone here. I am the former chair of the Commonwealth Youth Council and a former youth ambassador of Jamaica, but still presently, and I believe, initiative ambassador for the Governor General, which a Governor General of Jamaica, Sir Patrick Allen, which I see a close colleague, Miss Sonia Sims, who is now serving on your board, who was a part of that program in terms of public relations. So I'm press secretary for the Governor General. So thank you very much. Good to see good people across Jamaica serving in different capacities. So again, thank you all for being here, those who are online as well as those who are here in person. I thank you for the invitation. I'm going to ask the Mr. Kawasaki, who's going to be bringing greetings, to please sit up here with me, as well as Father, please come up here as well, and of course Miss Dion Jennings from the Chief Technical Director for Ministry of Labor and Social Security. So just join me up here, please. I don't want to feel alone, thank you. So please just join me here, and we're going to go into the next part of the annual general meeting, which is really a public discourse on reimagining employment for persons with intellectual disabilities. So at this time, first we recognize, of course, that the business session indeed took place. It's important for this to happen because in a time like this where persons are not recognizing the importance of governance, it's important to show the transparency and the accountability. No man, you have to clap yourself for that. Because it's not pretty. It's where you're demonstrating to your population, both those you serve, as well as your donors and stakeholders and the general public, that you are on a party shop you run, as we say in Jamaica, right or wrong? And a party, you not sound so excited like, you know, yes. Shouldn't be gloomy. It's a meeting for us. It's not party shop. You know what you're doing. You're professionals. And you want to demonstrate that accountability, that if anyone should look in and zoom in, they can see the record there, demonstrating that you bring a certain level of expertise to serve the people that you serve. So thank you again for that. I really appreciate that in terms of the governance structure being there and the accountability. We're going to go into the public discourse session at this time. Our first speaker will actually be coming to us from Mr. Kawasaki, who is the resident representative from the Japan International Cooperation Agency. Please, at this time. Please clap him. Thank you.
Very good afternoon to all of you. Yeah. So, first of all, Honorable newly elected President of JAID, Dr. John Reed, and Executive Committee members and former, President Mrs. Jackson. Yeah. So, and dear McCoy, Executive Director of JAID, she is definitely trustworthy friends of Japanese JICA. Yeah. So, and JAID team members, and also principals, parents, representative, and stakeholder partners. Congratulations on holding the 67th annual general meeting of JAID. First of all, I would like to send all of you the words of appreciation. I guess the path you have taken were not always smooth. You have challenged and overcome one by one. On the path, JICA has worked together with JAID by assigning JICA volunteers since 1994. Up to now, total 29 JICA volunteers cooperated with JAID's counterparts in the field such as care for disability, horticulture, carpentry, music, handicrafts, and occupational therapy, etc. I think everybody knows about CHOOPS project. It aims self-reliance support for persons with intellectual disability. JICA volunteers made much contribution to launching and progressing of CHOOPS project. Besides, I never forget mentioning about the other important project. It's UCC Blue Mountain Coffee Work Experience Program. Yep. Among the first interns in the program from JAID, one of the graduates was employed by the company. And some graduates were followed. At the time of my site observation in the recent, I visited UCC Blue Mountain Coffee Farm. You know UCC Clarington Estates. Last February, I heard there your graduate sustainably contributing to the company. I became so fascinated, became happy to know about that. Yes, it's very much honor for us. So in addition to JICA volunteer scheme, JAID staff have enjoyed training in Japan. Not exactly training, because you are the professional interaction of knowledge. Yeah. So more than 10 persons participated in the JICA Knowledge Co-Creation Program. Makoi-san is one of them. Yes. So such, the management staff members capacity development, JICA also cooperated. Yeah. So in that sense, JICA's roles through dispatching volunteers and the knowledge co-creation program will have certain space in the today's theme, reimaging employment for persons with intellectual disability. Based on past our achievement, let us walk together the path in the front. I close my greetings by sending again much appreciation to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kawasaki, for your presentation and your remarks based on the partnership. The partnership goes a way back. I bet a lot of us didn't know how far it went. Well, he reminded us today, and what was important as he was closing his remarks was reminding us about working together. It means that no one can do it. No one individual, no one entity. It's a joint effort. So thank you again and all the support from the people of Japan. At this time, we're going to have remarks as well from Ms. Dion Jennings, who is the Chief Technical Director at the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. Please, a worthy partner, please, Kapra Shika.
Thank you, Chairman. President, Dr. Joan Reid, good to see you, and thank you for taking on this role again. We know you're capable of doing it. Other members of the Board of Management of the Jamaica Association on Intellectual Disabilities, your hard-working Executive Director, Mrs. Marilyn McCoy, and the other external stakeholders here, the partners, JICA and others, principals and parent representatives, good morning. It is my pleasure to greet the association this morning on behalf of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, which includes the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, the body corporate which has responsibility for executing the programs for persons with disabilities, including those with intellectual disabilities. And your annual general meeting has brought together all these stakeholders here this morning as you seek to share the progress and the significant work that you have done over the year. And we want to commend you for the work that you continue to do as you seek to support and enable the lives of persons with intellectual disabilities on a path of development. We are intrigued by your theme, Reimagining Employment, because it is a Ministry of Labor and Social Security. And we are committed to ensure that all persons are part of the labor force. And we know that work plays a vital role in the quality of life of a people. And we know that persons with disabilities are no different. They too should be part of the labor market. And this is in keeping with the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which recognize that the rights of persons with disabilities to work on an equal basis with others. And it includes a right to the opportunity to gain a living by working freely in the labor market and in an open, inclusive market that is accessible to persons with disabilities. And this supports the Sustainable Development Agenda that we are also committed to, and where the quality of education and inclusive education is promoted as a right. So access to employment for people with intellectual disabilities, we are aware, is one of the great challenges facing several societies. And although there has been progress made, there still needs to be much more to ensure that the barriers are removed and that the equal opportunities exist so that they can participate in the labor market. And so we are moving towards the rights-based approach, where we recognize that this is a right that this individual would have. So we want to thank the organization for the commitment that they have in assisting the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities in their testing and assessment to enable persons who need the services that the Council offers so that they can register and become a part of the organization. We also recognize, as we look at your theme, that we need to move away from discriminating against persons with disabilities. And the Disabilities Act emphasizes that. And knowing that JAID is one of the entities that is advocating for the rights of persons with disabilities and intellectual disabilities in particular, we want to ensure that your advocacy continues so that persons become more aware of disabilities matters, how to treat with persons with disabilities, and that will enable the reduction of the stigma that is still there, but which has significantly reduced. We also want to emphasize that the preparation for the world of work is important, and we recognize that it starts from the schools. And so the schools that are associated with JAID have done a lot of work in promoting the school-to-work transition. And so we want to encourage you to keep that going, because once we have those persons showcasing their competencies and skills and the abilities that they have, then it is easy for them to transition in the work of world. And knowing that there will be support strategies to enable them in this transformation, we want to encourage you on that journey. And so as I close, I want to emphasize that there are opportunities, economic empowerment opportunities for persons with disabilities, and we know that some of these clients, your clients, have benefited from the economic empowerment grants that the council provides, and also for other assistance for assistive aid and other support. And so we also at the ministry in general, with the labor management information system that identifies job opportunities for all persons, we have been ensuring that there are persons with disabilities, that resumes are uploaded on that system so they too can become part of the world of work. So the opportunities are endless, and we are committed to ensure that the rights of persons with disabilities are enhanced, are promoted, and that we can support the organization. I want to encourage the parents, because I saw it this morning with the special item that we received, and I figured that you are her mother. I can see the resemblance. But it is important that we continue to support our children and ensure that they unlock the potential that is within them so that they can become excellent members of the society. So I want to thank you all, and all the best to you as you continue. The new members of the AGM and of the board and the other board members, I still see your long-standing Sonia Jackson, who I've worked with for many years, and she continues to work with the organization. So all the best to you, and keep your heads high.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jennings, and greetings on behalf of some key takeaways there. I don't know if you were taking notes, but important points raised in terms of gaining a living and how really can you be inclusive. And it really starts from the infrastructure. What kind of system do you put in place from a government level? Yes, as Ms. Jennings acknowledged, JAID is doing their part, but there has to be the system in place to ensure that that transition that we're hoping from school to work is accommodated in the best possible way. Correct? And so I am really happy to hear when you even mentioned the management, it was the labor management information system that has resume uploaded for persons with intellectual disabilities. So it's a fair, even ground that everyone has that opportunity. And as you said, opportunity, and you said they are limitless, it means that there are opportunities we've already discovered, but there are those that we have not yet seen. And there is more out there. So thank you so much for that. I will be taking particularly the labor management information system to task on that one, and the economic empowerment grants that the Ministry of Labor does. So when we say, boy, government now, please look again. There are good, hard-working people trying to ensure that something is done with whatever they get in the budget. All right, thank you so much again. Now we're going to have our guest speaker for this hour, and it's going to be Reverend Father Mario Burton. He doesn't look like he's too far from the former youth like myself. So he looks close enough with me, and he's from the St. Pius Catholic Church, which is formerly St. Jude's, and he's going to... well, I was going from what he had told me. Yes, what he was telling me just now. So I was just putting that there. But we can go for that particular theological debate right after, because I really would like it. But I'm going to ask Reverend Father Mario Burton to come forward, and he's going to be our guest speaker. Please welcome him at this time.
I presume there should have been an introduction of the guest speaker, but that's fine. It always comes with a lot of lies, and I don't know who that person is when I get up, so that's fine. So there's no theological debate. So I was formerly at St. Jude's, now I'm at St. Pius and St. Patrick's. Oh yeah, so I've moved from St. Jude's. Reimagining employment for persons with intellectual disabilities. I would like to start off this presentation in a very light format. And so here goes. There's a young person who goes to a job interview. This is his second job. And so the employer says to him, for this role, the candidate needs to be responsible. And the young man responded, I'm your man. In my last job, whenever anything bad happened, the boss always said to me, you're responsible. You see, employment is an agreement which is performed between the employer and the employee. And the two of them come together and they determine the task, the job role, the way of service, and the contribution the employer must provide to the organization. And based on this job role and various other aspects, a certain amount of remuneration and facilities is decided by the employee, which is provided for the exchange of service. Now, as we hear this definition, what comes to mind quickly I can imagine is work equals pay. There is nothing other than that. Yes, work equals pay. And that fancy word in the definition, remuneration, tells us that we must always receive something for what we do. I'm very surprised, though, that this definition was not mentioned the other day about being a just remuneration that the civil servants should bring to the protest. And maybe they would have gotten some good or better wages. Well, let me take that out of the picture. The reality is this. Employment takes many different formats. It takes full-time, it takes part-time, it takes contractual, it takes seasonal, it takes volunteerism. And all of these are looking towards a viable gain for this employment, and rightly so. However, we have to view employment in the sense that it is something that the employee will be able to enjoy and participate in willingly. If there's no enjoyment, there's no participation, there's going to be, I say, everybody in the I almost said congregation here, but everybody's doing like this. There's always going to be a butt head. And so that reimagination is to ensure that as these persons go out into employment fields, there's an ability for them to enjoy and participate in it willingly. As we think of our graduates from JAID who have not allowed their intellectual disabilities to hold them back, but have rather pressed on despite all and have proved their worth, how do we create a structure for them to reap the best and the greatest reward? What kind of reward is it that we are hoping that these our members and graduates obtain? And these are the questions that we ponder as we look at how we enter into what I am going to term the reimagination exercise. I'm going to be very honest with you. JAID was quite unknown to me. This is my second time in Augustown. I've never passed Huey Gate and come down here than once I said Mass by a Catholic church down the road there, St. Christ the King. But there's Miss Sonia Jackson, who I should call a part of my flock, but I really see her as a life coach. She always helped me in the management of the parish. I see her as a life coach. She has taught me so much. And one of the things she always tried to do whenever I sit with her is talk about JAID. And at the first time when I heard JAID, I thought she was talking about somebody. And then I started listening carefully. I'm like, oh, JAID is an organization. Okay. And so she speaks to me about it, and she speaks about this great love towards it. And as I used to listen, it reminded me of who I am and what I stand for. I am if you had heard the introduction, I'm the youth director for the Archdiocese of Kingston, spanning 6 parishes, planning youth events and all of that. And I work in 2 high schools. And so I'm always there reaching out for young persons and defending the vulnerable, ensuring that they have a bright future. And so as I did my research on JAID and I saw the vision grabbed me. To be the national unifying organization in creating communities where persons with intellectual and other development disabilities are empowered and fully integrated. When we look at this vision of your organization, it should guide the leadership on how you should lead. It should guide volunteers on how this volunteerism should take place. And the key words in this vision, creating communities. Key word, creating communities. Before we can even send out persons into the work world, we have to create a community with these persons. We have to help them to understand that as they go out, it's not just them and who they like. It's them and everyone else forming a part of a community. And the we is the leadership, the students, and the parents. Yes, there is a structure, but in the formation of this community, we'll have to see each other as a brother and sister. And how you deal with brothers and sisters? With love, with care, sharing. Try. We'll talk afterwards. But that is how we deal with brothers and sisters. This community should be a place where our students should know that they are safe, cared for, and loved. It should be a community where all of us are part of what I call an unbreakable bond. Now let me tell you a story that will probably help you to understand how community is formed and how community can easily be broken if it is not nurtured. Now I live in the 3 Miles area. Now if you know 3 Miles, you know it's a rough place, yeah? Very, very tough place. And in this area, there's a lot of young men, and I'm always scared because the easiest thing, believe it or not, is to join a gang. The easiest thing is to take up a gun, believe it or not. Easiest thing. And so I'm always caring for them, and I'm always trying my best to reach out to them. Now it's rampant COVID 2020, and I don't want any of these youngsters to stray and join a gang. I don't want them to become a father or a mother or a gunman or a gunwoman, believe it or not. And so I started a little farm. The first 3 workers was 1 young lady who I consider a daughter of mine, and 2 boys whom I used to see at their mother's bar helping out. Now don't ask me why the priest is at a bar. Just consider it as building community. All right, there you go. So fair enough, evangelization, that's right. So they become friends. They come to work on the farm. What is their pay? Bun and cheese, chicken and rice, bag juice and 3 tricks. They're very comfortable with that. They're working, they're helping out father on this farm. One day I got some money and I said, here is what? Here is your pay for the 3 weeks you have worked so far. All smiles, everybody happy. In the mind of these initial 3 is we're helping father, we're going towards a vision. One day, it seems as if they tell a friend that father gave a little thing, you know. And so a new guy comes in, doesn't say anything to me, but I'm watching him from the office and I'm like, this is interesting. A young man in this community working for free. And 3 days pass, I just approach him and I say, hey, who are you? Who told you could be here? What is your motivation for working in the sunat instead of going home and sleep? All of these questions, you look at me like, deep. 1 week passed, and they come to me and they say, Father, I leave his name out, just in case he's watching. And they say he's asking for money. I said, money? But y'all knew no money is involved. They say it's not us, Father, it's him. Soon, one of the first 3 stops, and then another one stopped with this new guy, and then they all stop. What is the moral of the story? there was a community between the initial three and myself. Within that community, we were working towards a vision. What was this vision? Making money and staying out of trouble. But someone who does not hold the vision of the community comes inside, and soon the community what? Disintegrates. It's no longer there. And so for this new employment, this new reimagination exercise to take place, all of us as stakeholders will have to work towards forming this community. It can't be just the leadership team. It can't just be the long-standing members. All of us will have to play an important and a vital part in working as a community. An effective way for this community building to take place is by first those in leadership and aspiring to leadership engage stakeholders as essential collaborators as you explore how and where the work gets done. Millions of people today are freely committing billions of hours across distant locations, creating products and services that they care about. Why wouldn't we as JAID do the same for our future? Why wouldn't we as JAID do the same thing for creating meaningful opportunities for young people? For this to succeed, this community, leaders, volunteers, parents, and students have to really believe and buy into the vision and successfully reimagining the work for the future. The who, the where, and how this job gets done can only become truly effective, truly changed, if we are going to realize the talents of these young people. As we imagine employment, we have to look at the talent. There's a young man at my former parish, St. Jude, called Tajay Wright. Now, Tajay is an altar server. You all know what altar server is, yes? Good. And Tajay sits on the altar just to my left, 2 chairs over. And whenever I'm there, I hear a little and that's not sinus, that's snores. And, and he often does this when I'm preaching. Now, I don't think I'm that boring. And so he was not very attentive as I would like him to be. And I just believe that with this intellectual disability, there's a little span of enjoyment of something, and they have to use their talents to change to something else. My little understanding. And in this, as somebody said to me, Tajay plays the drum. And I kept doubting it. Why? I just never see Tajay playing an instrument. And so I was told again, Tajay plays the drum. And so when I went to his home, his father told me what the drums were. You know those pigtail buckets? Yeah, he has one of those there, and he puts something on the top, and he gets 2 hanger sticks, and that's the drum. I said, how well he plays, Mr. Wright? This is his grandfather. He says, very well. And so, I'm making confession here, I did an ungodly thing. I borrowed a drum set that will not be returned, and I placed it inside of the church. And I said, let me hear Tajay play. Tajay played, and I danced. Now he's the resident drummer at St. Jude's. Resident drummer. As we reimagine work employment for our beloved, we have to really ensure that it is something that sparks their interest. We have to really ensure that we don't decide or plan their future, but work with them to decide the future. I mean, life is already overburdening for children. I can tell you many stories, but I won't. But the struggles of the young people today are different than all of you in the room. And as Mr. MC said just now, I'm probably the youngest here next to our daughter there. Nod and smile. But the challenges of yesterday have been magnified into today. And so in helping these young people as we reimagine employment is to help them to choose something they like. It's not to tell them what they should like. It's not to say to them, that is not for you. I don't know if I'm over time. Good on time. There's the daughter that I mentioned who says she wants to be a soldier. And every time she says it, people look at her like this. Really? Why you want to be a soldier? Now, here's the thing. They know her. She's a netballer for a school, for a club, and a national call-up. She does her work well. She's very involved in the church. I can trust her. I know she will do things. Why would you want to be a soldier? But for me, if that is what she wants to do, let her do it. Because guess what? Who to tell will force her to be a computer analyst? And that's not what she wants to do. Who to tell will force her to be a business manager? And everywhere she goes, she calls wrong cuss. You get that? So we have to allow them to be who they are. I once heard this joke. I was a little slow at getting it, but let's see if everybody is as slow as I am. People think that being a waiter isn't a respectable job. But hey, it puts food on the table. Got that? Okay, so I'm the slow one. All right. What? Question. Okay. Question. Why couldn't the guy be a full-time fisherman? The net income wasn't enough. Ah, I like it. I like my audience. These are some jokes with a deeper meaning. For the reimagination exercise to take place, we will need to realize that all form of work is respectable. All form of work is respectable. And each work can benefit the person. No matter what the work is, it can benefit the person. We have come to realize that all of us, part members of JAID, have resources. All of us have network and links. And it will be dependent on all of us to use these our resources to help in that reimagination exercise. The use of the resources and networking avenues can surely impact how our students are employed, what talents and knowledge they live with, and how they can integrate that into employment. It's also very much dependent on the parents to allow for employment to take place and not to be selective, but rather to allow them, to let them know that all forms of employment are respectable. I'll give you a quick story. I used to work in a hospital as a chaplain. Part of my studies to be a priest. And there was this lady who she would always encourage me. She had the mind that I wanted to be a top chaplain. I don't know why. But she always tell me, you can't be it, you can be the head chaplain. So one day I was curious. I'm like, why are you always pushing me to be the head chaplain? She said, I push everybody. I said, why? She started out as a janitor in the hospital. And she was now the head nurse hospital in Atlanta, Emory University Hospital. Wow. She started out as a janitor, and she was inspired by the nurses, started going back to get her high school diploma, became midwife, all of those levels, and now she was head of the nursing department. So for her, the story was everybody can become head. And so we have to recognize that. Now another thing is the full-time fisherman will never have a net income because it's not always calm seas that you'll encounter. For us as an organization, we should never say what I have to offer is not enough, or my contribution of 1 hour is not as good as the other person offering more. It's not about enough, but rather quality. What is it that you do with this time of volunteerism? How well are you giving of your time? Finally, I would say that in Jamaica, there's a famous saying, encouragement sweeten labor. I believe that part of the reimagination exercise is that we give recognition to those who live the company's purpose and value. What do I mean by that? Humans learn best by stories. Words can easily become abstract concept, but real life example by persons living the vision, mission, and values are irreplaceable. It's not good enough, and I'm not preaching here, to have your name to say a board member. It's not easy, it's not good enough to just have a name to say, I'm a part of JAID's executive. What is important is that you tell everyone about the vision, tell everyone about the mission, tell everyone about the values of JAID. Offer persons opportunities upfront and over time to reward and applaud these persons who are part of the organization, but more so find way of putting JAID out there. Not bashing JAID, but as I said, if it wasn't for Miss Jackson, I wouldn't have known JAID. So I'm saying to you as a challenge, reach out. Go out there. Let persons know what JAID is. It's a beautiful organization. I'm happy when I got the book and I read it, and I'm like, and I'm happy when I saw the money too, because I'm in a poor parish. But, but I mean, it's viable. It's something good that is happening. And so let persons know about this good that is happening. Purpose matters more than ever to JAID and its entire stakeholder. Purpose matters. Now is an essential time to consider your core mission, your vision and your values for your organization. As you launch off today with some objectives and goals, I encourage you to really build a community here at JAID. One that no external forces can come in and destroy. Realize the talents of the students and let them own it and love it. And finally, give yourself without counting the cost, without comparison, without doubt, just giving yourself in goodness and in quality. Thank you.
Wow. One more time. You know, there, as we can see from our program, the intended speaker was somebody else, but I believe in what I don't call it coincidence, I call it God incidence. That there's purpose to every single challenge or any opportunity or anything that changes, there's a reason for it. Not, of course, negating that the other speaker wouldn't have done a great job, but I thank you. I really thank you for that. Thank you very much, Father. And the work that you continue to do, and you showcased it through your speech, I think without a doubt, there's nobody here, whether you're on the board or not on the board, but you know about JAID, that it's really an organization and not a person, that whatever it is, you're going far much more empowered to tell somebody about the work of JAID. And that is important as we leave here today. Whether you're online or here in person, somebody's going to know, even one or two, that JAID exists and it's a powerful organization. Thank you very much again, Mr. Speaker, for your for your presentation, truly. And I took down some notes because I planned to take some of the stories. Stories with me. I'll try the one with the drumming thing, and yes, that one too. So thank you very much again. At this point in time, rather, on your program, we have some question and answers, a question and answer section where persons online as well as in the audience may be able to, we openly ask questions. Now, it could be directed, and I will take a bit of moderator's privilege, that if the question is asked, are appropriate, whether it's to the speaker but also to the president, you could possibly pose this question, putting her on spot, but she seems extremely capable, as well as our executive director that's in the audience, that would be able to probably respond to any technical question or specialized question that may be posed. So the opportunity and floor is open at this time. Or is it that we're saying everything was so clear that we have no questions, we already have them answered? Going once, going twice. Remember, this sits between now and lunch. Going once, going twice. So if that is the incentive for you be reticent, I don't mind that either. Going once, going twice. Sold. Thank you very much for your questions. They were truly, truly remarkable. I could feel them well answered before they even came out. And so I just want to thank you, everyone, for having me and having our different remarks. And of course, our lovely guest speaker. Again, one more time for everyone. Madam President, thank you again for your service that you continue to do. And all the, whether old or new elected members, we thank you for your service. On behalf of a former younger person, I just want to say, continue doing the great job you're doing. And one thing I know is that, and I've experienced or observed, it's not just children, everyone in some ways suffers from this particular, in some way have been affected. So while we know we do want to reach out to our younger population because of the impression to change the narrative there, it's important in our churches, in our youth group, in our groups or in workplaces that we also recognize it's happening right there too. It's not just children. So take that message from here, look for the signals, and you may not be the expert to deal with the issue. Call JAID. Yes? Sounds good, right? Call JAID. So like I could do the commercial. You're not the expert, but call JAID. All right. JAID can help, and they're here to assist. At this time, I'm going to close off my portion. Madam President, do you have any particular thing you want to add? I can give it over to you before we terminate this AGM. No, you're good. Okay, great, thanks. All right, so I again thank you everyone for coming. I hope you enjoy the rest of the day that's remaining, but I'm sure you can agree with me that you had a good start so far to your day, and you leave inspired by Father Burton to look at and create. Thank you very much for those words of inspiration. And if this was a format or roadmap as how to do speeches, please, we would invite you for the for most guest speakers, because it was under good, it was engaging, and the timing was quite perfect. Thank you. And what was important, we take away from a very charismatic society that we are, where we shout and we have gesticulation. He was from a fixed point, right? He was from a fixed point, and he delivered, and we could hear with clarity, and we could understand. And we hear passion without even an inflection or higher decibel. But passion was coming through. What is important for us leaving here, and probably Sonia would agree, communication is not about you understanding, it's about those who you are speaking to. And if they don't understand, you failed as a speaker. And today, 100%. Thank you very much. Because sometimes when we get with degree, we become so esoteric that we forget that there are, see what I mean? That we forget that, oh, some people need to understand. No, everyone must understand. That truly shows brilliance. And I thank you, everyone. Thank you, everybody. And have a great rest of the day.